back to...
You want to find your phone or you just want me to call it?
Just call it. It can't be that far away.
Seems to be some mail for you, Jason.
Okay, my wrist is ringing, so it's within range.
We're back to the Van Roth. We've talked about Fair Warning a little bit, I think. Worst album cover of all time.
Love it. Looks like my grandma's drapes when I was a kid.
Some of the worst art ever created. It's just visually hideous and doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be like a sort of a comic panel, I guess.
You ready?
A man beating his head against a brick wall. Then that guy curb stomping somebody, and then some demented little thing that looks like Peter Gabriel pointing and laughing at somebody being punched.
She's sneaking each. She thinks she can't have them. She's pretending over here. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Is there anything we have?
Fair Warning was their big kabam! People started, like, around the world started thinking, what's this Van Halen thing all about? Because they did the US Festival. And they played the song Unchained. And it was so popular that it put them on the map. And they still weren't top 40.
Ozfest, what was that?
When
was the earliest?
US Festival.
US Festival?
US. US. US Festival.
US Festival.
It was one of the early, like, 1980. It was just, it had nothing to do with, it was all about profit.
We are now almost at halfway through Van Halen's catalog. It's kind of...
Really?
Sad. I think the rest of them are just...
Terrible?
Hagar. Oh, we still haven't done one. So we have one Roth album left after this.
There he is right there.
Yeah. What a beautiful man.
Calling you again.
Is there anything we haven't said yet about?
They did a reunion and had an album in 2012.
Yeah, we'll do that one last.
It's really just a bunch of their early stuff that they finally reworked and put on an album. It's nothing terribly interesting.
We should just do a general discussion episode about everyone compile like a short list of what are the good after the fact reunion albums. I can't think of any like above average like quality reunion albums. I don't know of any.
The only thing I can think of right now is the whole people that like the Beach Boys seem to like every live album, like reunion album they put out. It's all just the same songs over again. So
It's not.
all right, I'm calling you again. I have to wait for it, or it just goes right to voicemail again.
Oh yeah, because still
Is it on silent?
It's always on.
Hear
silent.
it.
You can hear the silence.
Yeah,
It's fun.
because like Endless River, that's barely even a real album. I think that's just Pink Floyd's, that one they put out a few years ago. It's just like tidbits of things that had already existed. And I think only David Gilmour and who's the one who didn't die in the car accident. I think like, all right, Fair Warning. Main Street. This is surprisingly buttery for looking so white.
This is good.
Oh my god!
Did you find it?
Great. All right, I found it.
Thank God I didn't know where that was gonna go.
I'm gonna kick your ass!
We're on a quest.
Oh, Mean Streets.
Okay.
Yeah, Mean Street, Dirty Movies, and Center Swing. So this is like we're getting dark now, but we're still partying.
Kinda. Remember, this came after Women and Children First. Can you hear that sort of 1980s, like 1980? We don't really know where the decade's going. It's like there's a little bit of disco beat, a little bit. Like everybody was trying to do a little bit then.
You can
It's
totally
like, well,
skip
this
this
is the
one.
only thing that sells is disco.
Oh yeah, welcome to Talking Over Albums, episode 75, I guess. We're here in the Kinnears Lounge.
This is a different episode?
Same people.
It's not a dual episode.
Nee.
Are you not supposed to talk about that? Like this is a different day now?
Don't let people see behind the curtain.
Amazing production values, man.
Okay, wait. I have to open my beer, so you're gonna have an edit point, okay? 1, 2, 3, edit. Okay.
The only two songs in here I know by title are Unchained and So This Is Love.
I don't know this song, but it's fun because it's Van Halen.
Are there a lot of Halens? Have you ever met a Halen?
A Van Halen?
Oh yeah, never mind. A Van Halen.
Wait, their first name is Van, right?
Isn't
The
it
middle name of all of them.
I thought it was like Van Morrison.
Oh, they're the people that own those shoes.
Isn't
The Vans.
Gone Bon Jovi?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's got to be a Van Halen somewhere. Like, it's got to be a super common, I don't know, Nordic name, right?
I don't know.
Where's that from? Like, what Nordic country is Van Halen from?
They're from the Netherlands.
Oh,
Their dad was a famous clarinetist. We talked about it on Diver Down, but you were f***ed up, so.
What is that?
Jan Van Halen.
Jan Van Halen.
Jan.
Like Jon. Jan.
Speak,
Jon.
I always thought it was Jan Hammer. I didn't know it was Jan Hammer.
Dutch?
Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I never did get a correct spelling on his first name. I take that back.
It's a medieval surname, whilst of Dutch Flanders ancestry, has long been
Flanders.
associated with England. Okay.
Why? Why? I need a why on that one.
The word Hale of Old Norse origin. So, like, we're talking about like really Old Norse, like
Yeah, you went way deep.
like English invasion, like
Even
Norman
before I was
invasion.
The Van Halens were on the British side, is what he's getting at. You know, 1,000 friggin' years ago.
We should
Because people in
dissect-
Europe give a shit about things like that.
We should dissect every band name like this to that level.
Who is that buff weirdo with the long hair who did a lot of movies, but also had like a
Dolph Lundgren?
metal band? God damn it! Can't think of
Alice Cooper?
Oh, he was in Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Was it Lenny?
Skippy?
Lenny. No.
Here,
Malcolm?
John Michael Thor.
Yeah, Thor.
Just make up whatever you want. That's fine.
Is it?
At this point, screw it.
Is it Mikkel
Just
or
make shit
Michael?
up. Yeah, Michelob. Michelob did it.
Yeah, his movies are great.
Whatever
he
you
was always
say,
like,
man. That great movie.
he was always like, I'm this badass rock and roll renegade who fights evil. Here's dirty movies.
It sounds like Buckethead, right? All of a sudden.
Yeah, this is awfully funky
Okay,
for Van Halen.
you know what?
Gotta learn it somewhere.
I like it when Eddie Van Halen noodles.
Mhm.
That was some noodling Van Halen, and I liked it.
I like his.
That's the first
noodle.
thing they ever did. It was like they couldn't figure out what the hook for Van Halen was when they were making their first album. And Ted Templeman heard Eddie Van Halen doing like a warm-up song. And he's like, well, what the hell was that? Why isn't that? You didn't bring that song to me, you know? And that's the first song on the album, Eruption. It's just him. That's what he came up with this little ditty to warm. It has a little bit of everything he did in it.
Wow.
It's called an etude. Yeah, the people write
Huh?
the etude, the practice piece. The
Yeah.
work. It's things built for technical. Yeah, I write my own etudes.
Yeah,
And and it's like, that sounds cool. I should make just a song out of it.
and right, and that's what everybody was telling him. He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm just warming up." Like,
Your warm-up is
yeah,
awesome, dude.
He's
we
just
really need to
He's just
open you.
doing an easy lap around the track real quick to get warmed up.
Right. By this time, I believe he's really perfected his he decides where he wants to go with his guitar solos and stuff. And now he's like bored with it, and this is where he starts getting into the synthesizers and stuff.
I always love David Lee Roth, that weird squeaky sound that he makes at the end of phrasing, like the I can't do it. Like kind of.
It's because he's not a very good singer, but he's a very good performer. You didn't go to hear his great quality.
He ain't no crooner.
Artist versus performer.
He's a panty dropper.
He has a great rock and roll voice. Like, Mick Jagger's a horrible singer, but it works within the context of what they're doing. So, like, yeah, I mean, his voice isn't pleasant, but...
No, it sounds like the lounge lizard.
But he can emote very well.
If you read about what his influences were, it's very funny. Because David Lee Roth is very influenced by a bunch of different things, and the one thing that was over all of them was they were performers, not really singers.
Right, it's vaudeville, not opera.
Right. Like, he totally stole the Jim Dandy act from Black Oak, Arkansas. That's his first thing where he does, like, while Eddie's over here doing solos, he's over on the other side doing his karate and in 1977, apparently that was the shit.
I want to do
born in 70.
All this and a stage show.
I'm still back to comparing, like, artists who write great music and are great performers but don't have great singing voices. I have tons of respect for Bob Dylan, but I don't ever want to hear him sing his own songs ever again. I want other people to cover them. They're fantastic. I've heard enough of his voice. I'm done. But David Lee Roth, I can listen to that shit all day, every day.
I didn't know when I did that bothered you so much. Oh, this is an evening of Bob Dylan. You just walked in on.
No, dear.
She's
Everything
being
you do is
all
wonderful.
this time.
Yeah.
Everything you do is terrific. But, like, in terms of, like, whose voice you do want to hear, whose voice you don't. Everybody knows Bob Dylan's got a terrible voice.
Sinner's Swing with an exclamation mark.
So does David Lee Roth.
I love Led Zeppelin. I don't know about Robert Plant's voice. I don't know. I just don't know about it. Or Geddy Lee, and I love Rush.
But Sean Waters, how's his voice?
It's sleepy. It's not usually what I go for, but I'm fine with it. Geddy Lee and Robert Plant.
Well, the David Lee Roth thing that I read.
Two badass bands, and I'm just like, I don't know about you guys that much.
It'd be sweet as like
the
a
bands you're in. You have good taste in being in bands.
Like that Metallica Lou Reed album. I want one with Bob Dylan and Van Halen. That'd be sweet.
It'd be something.
See, that's the thing I guess I didn't even realize when I was
me want to tap dance.
a kid. But I was reading about it recently, and Ted Templeton would make David Lee Roth do his vocal tracks over and over again for like 12 hours, 13 hours a day, because he just couldn't get him on what is it called? In tune?
Yeah.
And then the guy that was sitting next to him goes, well, maybe that's what his hook is. It's like he's completely anti of whatever music is playing right now.
He's in like a quarter step of every...
He sounds like that guy that parties all the time who sings
trim
along with
nails.
all the songs.
Yes.
On a weird side note, on an unrelated side note, the Prince YouTube channel just put out a Sign of the Times New Year's Eve at Paisley Park, 1987, New Year's Eve. It's really cool. It's basically the same stage show as the tour, but it's like at Paisley Park, so it's all very relaxed and impromptu. It's neat. I'm horny.
One of the most entertaining things I ever saw in my life happened early. I saw Alice Cooper in concert after he got cleaned up and went out again, you know. And he did his old act with the cutting the guy's head off and so it's like a theatrical thing, right? And then I saw on TV there was like Alice Cooper and his all original tour, and I was like, well, that's the same he was doing before. They just now it's under a purple light. instead of a clear light.
And now it's a real beheading.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, that's what that's what you're paying for.
I'm gonna put his Dada album on a short list. That's a really fascinating album. It's like it's super conceptual and theatrical. It's like less rock oriented, more.
Right.
It's really weird.
He's a very smart guy.
I don't know.
I hear he's an excellent conversationalist. He can talk on a number of subjects, and they gave him like a radio station or something.
Hear about it later. We partied too much. That sweet flange.
This sounds more 90s in my opinion. There's like a lot of this kind of...
Ooh. It was juicy.
And then it goes back to
There it is.
There's like back to the 80s. We're not headed towards the future.
Doesn't it
yet.
kind of sell you on it a little bit though? Like when you're in the song and then he starts screaming, that, like we were talking about his voice. It's like it's not good, but they should look. See, it matches the music.
It's the
fine.
signature. Yeah.
It's totally fine, dude. Wow. No, that's totally what we meant to do.
There's a huge difference between like melodically pleasant, like Anya, like extreme example, versus he can hit notes that 90% of people can't. So if you're gonna get him to sing Ave Maria, like it's gonna sound like. So there's just it's just like knowing where your voice fits in a certain type of music. He's a great singer. He's like same thing with most rock singers. Like Neil Young sounds like shit, but his voice is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I always bring up Leonard Cohen, but it works within what he does.
Mm-hmm. I was right. It got dark and she's like, oh, f*** it, I'm gonna lay down.
I don't wanna. I have to listen to this after you guys leave. I have to pull my Van Halen.
Should dip the popcorn in some vape.
By the way, the album that we're listening to right now is right here.
Well, the album's almost over. Everyone give your
If
rating.
you wanted to like see
There's 3 songs
how
left.
it looked when I bought it.
Oh.
And look, wait. Is this a liner?
That's clear.
Yeah, this is what Van Halen was big enough by then. Look, they got their own liner.
Hey, it looks just like OU812.
Hey, that's weird. You mean they stole an idea off David Lee Roth?
There's no way
He
that's...
was the marketing guy.
That's not even close to the worst album cover. Come on.
What? Oh, this is the back of it.
No, I know, but I mean... The front.
I don't want to tear this up. Hold on.
Right. There's objectively worse, like... Yeah,
Like
but...
weird.
that one.
I'm pretty sure if I went and looked, I believe David Byrne kind of rips off this at some point. I can't remember what album it was, but
Yeah.
Chris got me this for Christmas a couple of years ago. It's one of my favorite albums. It's when it was when my favorite college band, when I was not in college yet, did a pop album. I was like, well, that's fun. You made it fun. It's not just when you go to parties in Peoria and you go to the right one and then there's a bunch of...
And our goddamn wedding DJ didn't have that one either. We had the worst DJ in the world.
Well, he did, just not at our wedding.
Pop music.
Son of a
Not
bitch.
just for most people anymore. It's weird.
God, I have great albums.
When he's gotten
Let's
distracted off
reimagine
of his
pop.
Van Halen album. What happened?
Well, look, this is the piece de resistance.
Ooh.
An album version of 1984 with Backside.
What?
Woo! I know. Can we just make an album? Like, you have long hair, you have longish hair, and you have long hair. I don't. So I'll just take the picture, I guess. But we could do like one of these
Yeah,
80s
I can put a wig on
album
you.
things.
We need some
Do
industrial.
you think that would be cool?
Industrial
Like, you just pick a
fans.
guy
Get
Get
and
a
try to,
faucet wig and put it on
like,
him. He could be...
is dress as much as like that guy as I possibly can.
Right,
Or
like
whatever.
my favorite is always with him. He's clearly balding.
Fuck
But
yeah.
he's still doing the sweet
Well, you know what's really
rock
funny?
and roll mullet.
He's the bassist. Look what the singer who's balding gets to do.
It's all blowing in the wind, like Donald
He gets some
Trump.
professional to go in there and tease that shit up. You're not balding at all. Look at all this luxurious hair while I spray paint it into place.
Hit the ground running. Don't get too close. It looks like silly string.
Here's what my dad gave me. Oh, my Goldfield. Remember? Tubular bells. This is all my dad. Whatever. These are always fun for...
Yep. That album sold like 50 gajillion copies, and I don't really get it. I hate Tubular Bells.
We haven't done that one.
Even though I think it's on one of the Pure Moods compilations, but I don't get it. I understand the different cells, and it was very different at the time, but I don't like it. It's annoying.
Really funny. I look at my albums and I go, well, there was my serious stuff, and there's my stuff that's ridiculous, like Van Halen.
So there's just two sections: S under file under S, serious file under R, ridiculous.
This
No.
This
It's
is
all alphabetical,
intelligent.
dude.
This is
All
fun.
alphabetical.
And the cars kind of hit in the middle somewhere. They're really fun, but the lyrics are very intelligent. Also, I think.
Yeah,
the Cars are awesome. Have you guys done the Cars before?
But that
I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like
It might be too good.
non-talk.
maybe
Look, a rocker, murder, and a side slap dress.
see, this is back to the thing, or I guess this would be at the start of it, but where complaints I've had in other Van Halen episodes, where Eddie sounds like he's not just in the mix, but it just sounds like he's in a different room away from the band and just kind of does something after the fact. I don't know. It's my impression.
No, you're. From what I was reading recently about the first album, that's pretty much how it ended up. And like Ted Templeman was the guy that could put it all together and make it into something marketable.
Yeah, because Women and Children First is like such an awesome ensemble album. Like they're all just
No, I remember you getting your mind blown while we were listening.
so
It was like,
good. Yay! A Roth talking part.
And then we've done the two albums that they threw together just for so they could go tour again. Van Halen 2 and
One break,
Diver Down.
Oh man, and now there's a break.
This is the one that I think every Eddie Van Halen fan, they love this album because he basically does something completely different on each song. And then they go see him in concert and go, holy shit, he completely changed it so he doesn't have to like
Sometimes he plays
change guitars or do anything. He's like, he just rewrote it and a completely different thing. And he's like, is he the greatest or God? And it's like, he was kind of an asshole because he wouldn't let any kids watch him play so they could learn how to do it.
That'd be awesome if you just came out on stage with just like a tent from like the shoulders down around you.
I do not, dude. No,
Notes.
that's what he used to do. He used to turn around and face the band while he was playing because he didn't, when he did his solo, it's like you'd think he'd be up front center, but he's just like, I don't want you to see what I'm doing until I've made my money off of it. With the tremolo and stuff. It's like, and like people, sorry, I'm going to have to like just walk out on the ledge. But apparently like he got mad when people, like guitarists, sat in his audience trying to figure out what his setup was. Apparently that's some bone of contention with some guys. Like, you don't get to see what pedals I'm using. You don't get to see what
It's the secret
pickups
sauce.
I'm using. Yeah, like, screw you.
It's hilarious because later
I hear
on,
it.
people started trying to sue the internet people for stealing music, and then
Right.
everyone just gave up. Because everything's free 100% of the time now.
You
You
Metallica.
can steal everything.
Well, I've
So
heard
it's
that.
funny that like you even try to stop people. There's too many. There's too many people that are knowing exactly what you're doing. You can't even.
Right. No, that's true.
There's no stopping it. Music's 100% free now.
This is kind of Rolling Stones-ish.
Interesting. Never thought of it that way. Because there's a lot like, I know because I read all those things because Van Halen was my shit. until 1985. It was like...
Sleepy little
I
rabbit.
discovered it all by myself. It had nothing to do with my dad. It had nothing to do with my friends. It was my first
This is the most he slept
discovery
since
of my
you got
own.
here, so you might be the good luck charm.
Probably
And then
hasn't slept in
I had to, like,
weeks.
nobody would believe me. I was like, no, I've had the first Van Halen album on tape
He's just
since
trying
I
to
was
keep her in
9. You know? Like, I told you.
Wow, this is the most restrained Van Halen song outside of
And I
maybe
can't stop
some
hearing
Van
the Rolling
Hagar
Stones,
stuff.
but
We haven't got to the guitar solo. There's a really good guitar solo to this, too.
this is super mellow. It doesn't really sound like Van Halen
Right.
yet. I'm sure it will because, you know,
There's no skibbity-ing or
Yeah, this is
bop-ing
about,
in
we're
it.
about there.
if there's a guitar solo, it'll sound like Van Halen again.
You can't tap dance to this.
That's when push comes to shove. Shove.
All right.
Yes, it's like
There it
the
is.
closest they come to funk ever.
I like it. But it is funny that it doesn't immediately sound like Van Halen to me. Everything else on here did so far.
And then we have a bunch of dead air. I told you it's a good solo. I'm ahead of the game, driving me insane.
See, it's that weird thing he does with his voice where it sounds like two different frequencies at the
Yeah,
same
it's like
time.
throat singing or what do you call
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Where it's like he's hitting the note, but there's also like a residual throat sound at the same time.
Yeah, he has a polyp the size of a fucking grapefruit in his neck.
Okay. So it's not a talent, it's a medical problem.
Right. Don't tell anybody.
It's got a serious medical.
Well, who was that was like...
Here's
Woman,
how do I know that it's love?
No.
that she had to go get her throat
tell
operated on.
you,
She had like growing all over it.
Celine.
Sure, I don't know.
Is Lady on?
It wasn't one of the...
Oh, good. We're back to the skibbity-bopping.
Yes.
Love to live
He's just
on
the master of
cruise.
glissando.
Catch that smell and I
People that
What
don't
magic
have-
spell did you put on these
He
dogs?
doesn't have perfect pitch, you can tell, because needs the glissando to be able to like
Yeah, it always kind of seems like he's just hitting just off the mark all the time, but it works, I think.
It sounds like you're live and in the moment, right? If it's just a little off, it's just like when you hear live music. It's not perfect. It's fucked up and crazy.
I think as long as you're not warbling around a note,
Yeah.
as long as you're like purposely hitting something off key and sustain it, it works.
But look, they were following a pop plan for metal, like not before they were metal. They were like the first bands in the hair metal. So it was kind of like, that's not what they were called because it was in the 70s still.
Van Halen is just Van Halen. They're like hair metal groups might have lifted from them, but they never did anything remotely this interesting.
They became 50% less when it was Van Hagar. Everything has an automatic cloud over it for me. Because I liked Sammy Hagar for fun. Like when I was a kid. That's like people a little bit older than me, they thought Sammy Hagar was the shit. And
Yeah,
I was
that
just
is
like,
part of it.
I don't understand.
There's people
His
10
just
years
kinda-
older than me that really thought he was the
Yeah, it's just his music is kind of. I think it kind of
like
just
him and Eddie
drones on
Money.
and on for 3
the
minutes.
age group.
Oh, is my
Like
Christmas
nothing
sweater
interesting
around here?
happens here.
Sorry, here.
Oh,
They keep talking about what a great
I'll remember.
guitarist he is, and
I'll remember it this
he
time.
he doesn't do solos. What's so great about him? He can stay on tempo with the drummer. Is that a thing? I don't
I
remember.
am kind of glad I didn't give it to you in July.
I mean, yeah.
That was the plan.
I think the major downfall with hair metal, I'm going to blame it all on Def Leppard, because for some reason all of hair metal loved the do beat.
You can't
That
help
just
it. He had
became-
only one arm, dude.
That just became the generic template for hair metal.
Because it was the greatest, man.
It's probably one of the greatest albums ever made. It's so
It's the
different.
only song I've ever heard anybody rock out to and pass out to at the same exact time at the bar.
Oh, the supremely
If you're rocking out to
this
it, you're
chick
about
shows
to
up at
pass
the
out.
bar. She sits down with me like we know each other. She just sits down and starts chatting away. I drew the crazy that night, right?
Sunday afternoon.
And I'm like, okay, well, whoever she is, she needs somebody to talk to. I'm in.
Wait, the greatest story song is coming up. You have to.
And then that song comes on. And she starts going, oh my God, this is my jam. This is my song.
This is very...
One Foot Out the Door is a great
and
song.
she's like,
yeah. She's going to talk about it. I'm trying to hear it. I can play it later.
By the time the song was over, I swear to God, she was like this.
This is very farty synth for Van Halen.
This is his first foray into... They didn't have any before
This is the best usage of synthesizer I've ever heard from them. Because usually it's that horrible, crappy synth string sound.
The 80s synth sound?
Like, this actually sounds kind of cool. But you always have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I guess in, like, the early era... I mean, this wasn't, like, early synth era, but still, people didn't really know how to... Like, you weren't really thinking that much about, like, okay, how is this sound going to age? It was just the novelty, mostly.
I feel like... And I'm just here.
Please don't.
No,
enough of that with her.
No, what he was saying, I was just going to expand upon it a little. I feel like there was this, like 1980, and then 3 years later, we learned how to use synthesizers and shit.
Wait, there's all these other knobs on the synthesizer too.
Yeah, they're like all of a sudden they're like, wait, I can make them like,
what are all these notes?
And then eventually it reached its pinnacle of mastery and... Here
you go. This is the one. I thought we were alone.
See, this is actually cool synthesizer. Like, what? How did it go so quickly downhill?
They're playing with it. And then their producer got a hold of it and found out, what
the guitar player
what the teenage girls are going to respond to. Or boys, I guess.
Yeah, like, this is left field as far as Van Halen's synthesizer goes, because, like the basic template was always jump, that synthesizer sounds. Like, this is actually cool.
I'm coming back. Back down.
Alright, well, this is nowhere near as good as Women and Children First, but still...
Oh, I love it in a completely different way, but...
It's still A-okay. I
bet you're just gonna be surprised by that.
I feel like I was fairly warned, so...
Fair warning, we're gonna like it.
It's interesting that whenever we do the Van Halen albums, you like the ones that are more
Van Hagar?
The ones between...
You don't, though. You hate Van Hagar as much as every
But no, I was going to say, you like the ones between where they get artistic, and then every time they try to be poppy, he's like, I can't stand 1984! Because they tried to be on the radio? I thought that was the whole point. Give me some money, bitches!
Well, that's over.
That was a great solo.
I enjoyed that. They ended on that solo, that's it?
Kind of peters out.
It's like a 2-minute song.
But, yeah, I'm not sure what...
Because he's got 1 foot out the door. I got time to stick around and sing to you.
But I'm not entirely sure.
Everything is all a simple story.
Like, I don't think there's anything stylistic that I can discern between what Van Halen I do like and don't. I think it's just mostly band performance. Like, you can tell when they're kind of phoning it in versus when they're just on fire. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the only difference, not necessarily like song style or production style differences. I think it's just when they're on fire, and when they're not, it's just kind of...
I feel like I remember from a Keith Richards thing about that. Like how it was like when we were firing on all cylinders, I always felt it. Mm-hmm. And then, when we just couldn't get together, could never get that song the way I wanted it, just wouldn't do it.
And everyone give your ratings.
457.
Ooh, this is
80%.
Right under 40 minutes.
It's just a percentage?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm giving it a solid B.
You've been on this enough times, you just know you can rate it a microphone out of
I'm
popcorn.
giving it 2 Billies out of 16 Ziggies.
Yeah. They're both so.
I haven't been able to have this much time with Ziggy since she got here. You did some kind of magic spell where she's not on top of me the whole time. And I haven't seen him sleep this much
Yeah, they're
in
both
2 weeks.
just in a coma.
And I haven't seen her sleep at all. Okay, so you can't go home. You have to stay forever.
I'll leave an arm here.
I give it 2 David Lee Roths.
It's too much.
Never.
Out of how many Ashley Simpsons?
Oh man, that's like
4.5. My
It's like-
rating
what is
system
that?
makes no sense.
It never does.
That's like it's like inversed.
I give her 5 clams.
Inversed fractions. What was that? That hurt.
This album got 0 Ziggy humping Billies.
But here's what I really want to know. Can we listen to another Talking Over albums and talk over the Talking Over albums? Talking over albums.
Just keep going.
When we've done every album
Rate ourselves.
in existence.
Try to figure out what we were talking about. What the hell were you trying
I
to
don't
say?
like Brett's rant here.
That was weird. They did some like sort of live cast of Mystery Science Theater with some new host, where they were just riffing over a Mystery Science Theater episode. I'm like, what is this? Yeah. Anyway,
I'll tell you a funny one. That
I'll learn you a thing or two.
no, it's just funny to me.
Do I need to record this?
No.